last week, right?
Yes, I
Yeah,
think
it
so.
was a great conversation. Yeah, it was, you know, it seems like a great guy, and he was on one of the panels when I interviewed him,
Mhm,
so,
mhm.
we just want to be good partners.
Well, good. Yeah, that'd be great if you guys could help with the back to school, because last year we had more backpacks than we really needed.
Yeah.
It was like middle of September before we got rid of all of
Yeah.
them. Yeah, so,
Yeah.
and school supplies. In my church, we also do the supplies,
Okay,
but, several other churches too, so yeah, that'll be great. I'll make sure to happen.
appreciate it.
All right. Well, I think everybody's here now, so let's go ahead and we'll call the meeting to order and let's do roll call. And Emerson needs to shove off a little early today, and so we're gonna let him duck in as soon as we do the roll call. Lexi O'Brien, listen.
Jill Magruder, present.
John Sauter, present.
Barb Strang here.
Oh, excuse me.
Vince Aceves.
John Buck's here.
Very good. Well, we can get started then.
Okay, do you wanna, if yours is short, I can tack on the end, it doesn't matter.
Well, no, you've got stuff going. Let's let you go. After hearing about your wife, I can
Oh.
understand why you might not want to hang.
I was
with
with her all day and.
Okay, yeah.
So sorry. to hear
Yeah,
that.
thank you, Chief.
I'm so sorry.
Well, what I want to share with you is that, you did the updates with the council for budgetary requests and what's on your agenda and your goals and objectives for this coming fiscal year and stuff. And so did you get a copy of that from Laura about that your budget was approved?
I don't believe I've received
Okay,
any.
yeah, I probably had, she gave it to me to give it to you,
Oh,
but I'll
okay.
make it, but it, whatever you asked for, was 1,000, 2,000, 1,000,
It's 1,000.
so that was approved.
Okay,
So, but I wanted to share with you guys, I may share it with council back in April. We're having, this year is one of our goals to have changed the relationship with the commissions and boards. Before it was always, you got to sit there and be a liaison, you don't get involved with the meetings and things of that nature. But we're changing that, that we can get involved. We don't want to overtake your meeting, but it's just, we can participate in them now. And it was just something they did however many years ago. But we find out we need to be more integrated. What you have in front of you, back in April, I sent this to Laura and Dr. Peoples about the community engagement group. So if you would take a few minutes to read it.
First word, discontinuance.
Um,
Oh, wham.
John, I'm sorry, you don't have a copy of it.
You never include me, man, ever.
I'm sorry. But you'll get the gist of it as we talk.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
I didn't notice if the last sentence was chopped off. But
I kind of feel bad that John is like left out. He
Yeah.
really needs to know what this says to be able to participate in the conversation. Should we read it aloud?
Is it something you could take a picture of and text me? I could look at it that way?
Yes.
That would be
Yes.
better.
Oh, great, thank you.
I put my number in the chat there.
Oh, great.
So go spread that around.
Yeah, they're having a good summer.
Yeah.
Wife and I decided to go to Arizona where
I was thinking that when you said that, Arizona.
lowest,
Summer.
lowest 103 degrees.
Do you have like family there? I mean, no, just.
Just never been to Arizona, so
Was it dry heat?
it was dry. Yeah. I think, well, at night it got down to like
Let me know when you get it, John.
89 or 90.
It's still
Highs, it got
processing on my
to
end.
10 degrees.
Okay,
But like I said, it was dry heat. It wasn't bad.
I mean, I do the humidity here. Never gets old.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
I have a nerve condition in my arm. And doctor told me that. When were you not gonna be in pain? I'm in pain all the time. When were you not gonna be pain to go to a dry heat state like Arizona, New Mexico, or something
Do you
like that?
notice it? Like, were you
Oh,
going there?
as soon as we stepped out to go to the Rangers, it just turned off.
Would you,
What I do it.
would you consider?
Yeah, we went to trying to think of the city where it was in Arizona. Scottsdale.
Yep, yep.
We
And
don't have Wi-Fi in here, do we?
you
There is,
should be.
a little building, I never remember what the Wi-Fi password is. but I-
Can we take a picture of it?
Can you send it by your
It's
data?
right here. Let's see.
Pardon?
Right here.
Watch, I'll just get on Wi-Fi and then it'll go through, but
Right.
I can do it just via data.
Yeah,
I did it with data. It's just really taking a long time to go through.
You're gonna
Wanna
get it
try
like
to email it?
16 times, John. We'll make it happen.
could try to email it too, I guess, if you wanted to. That might be quicker.
yeah.
I just tried, on the 815 number. See if it comes through.
Got it.
Okay.
Good. You know, some
Good.
I just have Google
Thank
Flash.
you.
I'm a big fan of. Switch.
So it take a few minutes to read it, John. But everything is brown. All the buildings are brown.
Yeah.
No grass.
Yeah.
All you see is cat.
It gets real old. I lived in Phoenix for a while, and that was the biggest issue to me is I grew up here, green, right? I mean, it's fun to go out in the desert in the middle of the night for a while, but then after a while, it's just like I miss it.
Yeah, we went out to dinner at Capitol Grill and I needed a belt. And so we walked to the shopping center, maybe 3 minutes away, got a belt, and so I called the Uber to go back to the resort. And he said, well, I can't find you. And I said, and they had no numbers on the building. He said, oh, I can tell you, I'm the third brown building from the left. You know,
Yeah.
all of them was brown, just brown.
What's nice is it's a planned city, so it's all north, south, east, west. There's no here where there's crazy streets that meander all over, stop one place, start another place.
Yeah.
But one of the Uber drivers explained to me that they're all brown because that brown reflects the heat. And that's why,
Efficient.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's why everybody had maybe a different shade of brown. But it was brown.
All right, I'm good.
Good, all right, great. So I noted in the beginning, comment about the discontinuance of the public engagement board. That was, sent to Mayor Arnold and to, Dr. People, so, and, I'd rather for you to see exactly what was sent versus some watered down, version of it. And this is not in relation to anything that happened to you. The PCE board back in 2018, they had a rough start. They had so many restrictions and you can't do this and you can't do that. You know, PCE, your hands were tied to make any kind of difference, really. And so, and then in March of 22, we did make some changes to release some of those, but it really wasn't enough for you guys to be here. And, you know, back in 2018, that's when the uprising with everything was happening and the Alliance Federation of Dignity, they wanted to bring that we need to have some kind of accountability for the police force and things of that nature. But, you know, there's only so many things that the police force can share with us, especially if it's surrounding personnel. I think some individuals thought that the PCEB is that if a policeman had an issue with a resident, that we can get involved with that, but no, that's a personnel matter. We can't do it. And so, in my opinion, and I mentioned this to the council as well, is that this commission was hands were tied from the beginning. You know, you really didn't have any direction. You know, I think Mayor Welch was the liaison for the first couple of years, and you know, it just never changed. And so we had changing of leadership. I forgot who was first, and then I can't think of the other lady's name now. She was here maybe about for 3 months, and she left. Who?
Oh, no, yes, I'm sorry, yes, I don't remember her name, I wasn't on the board at that time.
Yeah, I know her, you know, and then, you know, then Lexi, I think you came right after, whatever her name is, so. But just, you know, we've been having a lot of turmoil, not turmoil, but turnover, with members. It's difficult to keep members, and we've never had a full board working at one time, so. And that what made me write this email to the mayor and to the Dr. Peoples. I think maybe about a year ago, I kind of brought up the same subject, and you know, everybody gave me lemon faces, you know, about trying to make the change, you know, because I could see it then. That even when the commission gave the report to the board, I think you gave it.
Yep.
It was pretty much the same things you had the year before. Nothing changed. And so council did see that, and we said, okay, we need to start moving in some direction or either make some changes or get rid of the commission. It was our goal when we started looking at boards and commissions to, if it's something that was not needed, we was going to get rid of it. And I wasn't particularly talking about the PCB, but you know, we got what two commissions to do with the arts. Oh, and how come they can't be combined? And you have two commissions, one is sustainability and the other one is something else.
The green space.
Green space.
Yeah.
Why can't they be together? You know, they're trying to achieve the same goals.
Right.
So, but the PCB is the only one that came up under me. So I let the individuals that's liaison to those commissions and boards worry about that. So I submitted two suggestions. I believe last year I mentioned about the Human Rights Commission. Did I mention?
I don't remember that.
You.
I think you called it like D&I or.
Yeah, it was something
Yeah.
else. But you know,
But similar, yeah.
there is a group of us, community members, mayor, and Dr. Peoples. We're forming the Human Rights Commission. And it's in its infancy stages. We haven't really kicked it off, or the council has not approved it yet. So we, just working on it. I believe they had a meeting one day last week, a week before last. That was one of my suggestions. I knew back in April that the Human Rights Commission was going to start kicking off.
Can I ask what the purpose of that?
The Human Rights Commission?
Yeah.
Equality, equity, inclusion. Pretty much the same thing that we're asking for the PCB to have with the community. But that group has not created any type of, not until the council really approve it, that's when they'll create their mission, vision, and all that good stuff. But basically, I saw that the PCB and the Human Rights Commission could blend together real well.
If we're established and they're new, why wouldn't their ideas roll in under PCEB?
That's my comment, yes. And, with the city moving towards the Human Rights Commission, the purpose of the PCB can be rolled into the purpose of the Human Rights Commission.
No, I meant the opposite. I
Right.
didn't say that. It's like why aren't these new ideas for the Human Rights Commission that are spurring that roll under the PCEB, which already exists? And I just want to throw in here, I think Lexi and the team, even though it's been, lots of changes, have worked extremely hard to identify, remember all the things we on the walls, we were going around and trying to get our purpose really spelled out. It was painful,
Right.
To do, but I think the results of it were solid.
Yes.
And only until that happened, did we get traction to say, okay, now that we can see light at the end of the tunnel, now that we can see where we're going, let's do something. And then we started breaking apart into people groups. And I think, I'm going out and questioning them. And truly, we haven't had maybe, I would even say instead of once a month, which has been kind of troublesome this year because so many things happening, not the least of which is a new police chief, but to twice a month to get more of that momentum into these people groups and to push the DEI or, spell it out a little. I think instead of kind of dismantling it, it's like support it, roll that human rights into this, which is already, I believe, kind of has a structure.
PCB into human rights into the PCB, I don't think it matters. If you look at the goals and objectives of the PCB.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why my first recommendation was to combine those two groups. The purpose of the good thing is that we have 36 people already working in the PCB. So whatever the Human Rights Commission is going to try to achieve, all that can be rolled into one group.
That was why my question about the purpose.
Yeah.
Does the Human Rights Commission have a broader purpose than just being a communication liaison between the community and the police? And if it does, then it makes sense the way he's proposing it, right? That this would fall under that as opposed to it falling under us because we're limited by our purpose related to the police community.
Right. So, and like I say, everything has been worked out about the Human Rights Commission, but it's moving. I mean, I would say it's probably going to be maybe September, October before we able to roll something out. You ready to say something, John?
Yeah, I want to take a little pointed take on this. I'm a little disappointed in case I missed something that these ideas were advanced without consulting with us.
What ideas?
There are two recommendations that we end the board and we merge into something else.
Only the mayor and the city council, not city council, the city manager has been privy to this.
Yeah,
And
that's
so-
that's exactly the issue that I have.
Okay.
Is
And it's
that
not-
we've been getting some momentum as a group. I grant you there's a lot of stuff that has been kind of delaying us to get forward, but I guess I'm frankly disappointed that this was not a conversation first before we tip off the mayor and the city manager with a whole new construct in a context where we have recently lost two of our most senior police officers and have a new good chief in place. And I feel like there should have been a lot more conversation about what we could do, how is it going, how could we merge before we tip off the mayor and the city manager that, hey, here's my recommendations. So I guess if there's a way to pull it back and have a discussion, I'd like to hear from the new chief about some vision he might have for a board like this, but it seems like the train has left the station a bit without
Yeah.
us having a chance to be on board.
It has not, John. It's just that, like I said, well, Chief, I did, in my initial conversation with the chief, I did share this email with him. So no decisions have been made. It's just that,
Yeah, for me, it's a process thing.
yes,
You know,
Yeah.
before recommendations are being made to the mayor, we should have a conversation about that.
consider the mayor. The mayor is no more,
That's what
no
your
more
letter
than
says.
another city councilman. She has no more authority than I do. But you know, it's just a part of a conversation or part of what's the word I'm looking for? Transparency. This is what's going on in the PCEB. That's my
true.
role.
And I agree with that, but to advance recommendations without considering the input of this group, I think was a misstep.
And that was the purpose of me bringing it today. I received clearance to go ahead and bring it to you today for comments and to see how it's might work. So, and nothing was done behind your back or over your head or whatever. None of that happened. And that's why, you know, it was my desire to put it on paper so that whenever anybody is aware of it, they'll be reading the same thing. So I understand what you're saying, John, but the Human Rights Commission is one idea. But honestly, I like to see you guys have the recommendation too. That's creating or putting the PCB into a public safety commission. Because even if you look at your presentation that you did for the council, it all related to public safety. It didn't have anything about relationship with the police and the community. It was about public safety. I think there's enough topics that I think I'll probably put them down in there, that this group as a public safety can relate to the city. Not only work with the police department, you can work with the fire department, you can work with planning, you know, because it's a lot of safety things, you know, that goes on. I just, for example, I took a walk about 2 weeks ago up to from my house to the park, whatever the name of it is. And a lady stopped me and asked me that asked, are you on the council? I said, well, yes, ma'am, I'm on the council. She said, well, I just thought about something. Can we have some training on what walkers can do for safety? I mean, that's something that she reached out and said, yeah. I said, that's a good idea. I can pass that information on, you know, so. But
May I speak?
yeah, go ahead.
So one of my objectives had been to make this a very collaborative board because it was important to try and discover, you know, what did we want to focus on when it was so broad and with not a lot of specifics other than hold a public listening session. And it can be challenging to get the public to come to some occasion that you hold for that purpose. And so that disappoints me because this doesn't feel very collaborative. And I think
Collaborative
with the word, like I would have welcomed a conversation if this had continued to be a concern on your part, that I would have liked to have heard it and we could have talked together about what could be different. The second thing I wanted to say is actually the one real agenda item that I had on for today is a discussion with our new chief about the role and purpose of the PCEB. And I understand that you perhaps had similar organizations or community groups that you worked with in your previous position. And so to learn more and start that conversation about how we can be more effective
And that's,
And that question of, how do we define effective if the only thing that's really enumerated in what are we supposed to do is hold two public meetings?
right.
That's a hard one, but I feel like we have accomplished other things. So those were the only.
And take it,
points I
it's not
wanted
that
to
you haven't accomplished anything or you haven't worked or tried to do things. I just know you was hampered just by the ordinance that governs the PCEB. You gotta have a preacher, you gotta have a teacher, you gotta have this person. And after, Pastor Hayes, well, we haven't been able to get a preacher. I tried. I mean, I was out there trying to find one, but we can't get it.
I
You can
agree.
see how
very
active the
specific.
Board of
So we-
Education.
So we changed the ordinance. We,
Yeah,
we don't make recommendations to the mayor what should happen next. I mean, we take on the issue of what could make this better and what the vision could be, and we resubmit the ordinance for revision. I mean, that's a remedy that's ought to be part of the mix.
And the purpose of this document I gave you was my ideas. It's not that this is what's gonna happen. You as a group can say, this is how we like to restructure what we call now the PCEB. These are just my two ideas. So getting the ordinance and restructuring it or changing the name to do something different, that's great. I'm all for that. I mean, these are just, when I for 2 years, I went to the National League of Cities. It's a national organization for elected individuals to get together. And I actually went in June, and to I think everybody's talking about safety. And safety was always part of a relationship with the other groups in the city, police, the firemen, public works and things of that nature. So just take these as my example, my ideas. Now, if you want to take the PCEB ordinance and tear it up and rewrite it and give yourself some new direction, go for it. It's just that I believe that we need to do something different.
When did you bring this to the board, just conversationally? Do you remember that?
About a year ago, I guess.
So about a year ago. And I remember that
Mhm.
you did go around
I
and
did.
asked everybody present what we thought of that. And I do remember the assessment at the end.
And I let it go.
And as you probably do, but everybody was very much in support of what we were doing. And, it was like, wait, what do you mean? It was a little bit like, well, that, isn't gonna fly, because the members of the board felt that we were getting traction. And then I remember not hearing any more about it. So kind of thinking that we might, as you said, John, have a conversation, but it never came up until we get this piece of paper,
Well,
even though it's your.
like I said, I got sour lemons all the way around the table, so it wasn't my job to, but from where you were at last year, you're in the same place this year. You haven't moved.
See, I don't think we are.
I think we perhaps don't have a lot more awareness, and that is the biggest challenge that we have.
Yeah.
We have produced a lot of information that I think is valuable to the public
Mhm.
about topics that we've heard people express concerns about that are in the media in general, and so we can presume that, probably community members also are interested to learn, what do we do?
So this is the direction of this group to, like John mentioned, take the ordinance, tear it apart and see what new direction that you can go in. That's good. It's just that we just need to move. Because getting residents to come to an event, you're gonna have the same 20 people that come to everything else. I can almost name them by all. Like getting residents to do a survey. How many results did we have from the survey?
Well, that was so long ago, I don't I would be more interested in, you know, how many results were there for people responding to the survey about our new police chief. That is a good example of the level of interest, I think. And so I don't know what that outcome was. But,
Yeah, so, but when I thought about, like I said, we've been talking about Human Rights Commission for over a year now. But, the Safety Council, you know, Public Safety Commission or Council, whatever you want to call it. I just saw so many different avenues that you can travel to, you know, if it's back to school, here's some back to school safety tips, you know, for kids or walkers or your smoke detectors, all the things that can happen to encourage safety. I think this commission, or at least this idea, let me put it like that, this idea could really address. And you're pushing it out to them instead of them coming, you're trying to get them in. Because if you try to have a seminar at the rec center for safety for something, you're not, I really doubt we getting there. And just case in point, you know, we're going to spend almost $20+ million in the city. But you know, we maybe got 150 people to come look at the people. They just don't come. Now, when the pool goes up, you want to have people, why did you do this and why didn't you do that? So just take these two items as my ideas. But if you have something that you want to roll out or implement or combine, go for it. But I'm just saying, I think you need to say here, here's our recommendation for a new ordinance. And this is what we'd like to do. You know, so to me, I know why the PC board was created, because I was part of that creation. I wasn't even on the council then. I've been part of the alliance. It was only 6 of us that created the alliance way 10 years ago. So I was part of that. But you know, PCEB might not be your right name now.
Are you saying that was more reactive to something that was going on then that doesn't currently exist anymore?
Not saying it don't exist. It's just that
People aren't as interested in it?
I wouldn't say they're not interested, but there's no, what'd you say?
I would say it's of national interest. I mean, we have our presidential nominee talking about issues that were directly.
So my question, could you cover the issues? If you continue to call yourself Police Community Engagement Board and you're trying to address different issues, it is not only police, it's just the community engagement.
Yes, you're right. That is a community issue and the issues that lead to it. And so I think this is a really lengthy conversation for us to have. And I personally am more of I like to process a little, to think about it, but,
Well, I'd like to process some together, right? Because
Yeah.
I haven't been on here as long, so I don't have as much of a connection to the origin of this board, right? And so I am looking at this, and regardless of you saying when it was brought, and who it was brought to, as an opportunity to potentially expand our purpose to something that would have more impact and still have the impact that we have and want to have through the police community engagement, right? And so, and maybe I'm just, you know, like I said, not as connected to what's been going on in the past here, but I see this as an opportunity to maybe, you know, broaden the horizons of the board and do more that people are more engaged with personally.
And not to discount any of the work you guys have done, you know, it's not, to me, it's not your fault. Just like John said, maybe the ordinance needs to be looked at and changed and modified and massaged. That maybe that's what it is, but I think that'll change the direction, purpose, mission, and vision of what you want this board to be. And if you look at the ordinance now, real nice, pretty words, you know, but I think it'd be difficult to make something happen to that.
I guess one of my thoughts about PCEB is that we're a structure that's in place and perhaps there's not as much engagement and interest from the community right now. But when things arise that become a concern in the community, if we're disbanded and the Human Rights Commission isn't put together yet, I feel that we've built something for a reason. That reason societally still exists. And we are prepared to be a communication conduit. And I think that there are indeed people that might be intimidated to come and call the police. That used to be the only way to reach the police to express a concern is to email the chief. And so perhaps we haven't had, I mean, right now our form gets rat out your neighbor because they're burning leaves, or do we have current pictures of police officers, you know, in the station? And so they haven't been particularly pertinent to what we created it for. But it is a structure that's in place that if there were a concern, I think we would be there to respond to.
But I
it.
think
So-
you have that same concern with the broader definition of what you do.
Yeah.
Regardless if you call it PCEB or Community Engagement Board, the Safety Commission, or whatever it is, you know,
Mhm.
I think you have the opportunity now to say, here are some things that we like to do. We like to do this, and this. And I said, like I said, for the last 2 or 3 conventions I went to, seminars, safety was amongst the biggest topic. And inside of that, it had all the DEI stuff, all of the safety with police, fire, getting neighborhood watch. It was just a whole lot of things. It's about a quarter-inch thick book, which I can send to you. But, you know, and it's not I go just to disband it and not do nothing. I follow John, you know, it's the opportunity to restructure. You know, just because the city council approved this, there's no say it can't be changed. You can say, hey, instead of having, like I say, all these different individuals, and they did that because they wanted to make sure the community is well represented. But if we can't get those representatives to come to a meeting, you know, I don't know when the last time school board's been here.
Yeah, right.
You know, and I'll say it honestly, you know, when the last time Sloan's been here?
Well, Sloan has graduated, so
she's
she's
gone.
no longer,
Yeah,
And
but
so
I'm
we
just
have
saying,
to
she
wait
stopped,
for-
she was at the end because I
but the school year ended. And so I
Yeah.
think it would be incumbent on, and this is a process question that I have is who is supposed to go to the school and obtain that new student
What about
liaison,
that
and I
Tom?
think also getting a more active representative from the school district itself would be.
And I think
helpful.
the most important thing is when you go, leadership, so it couldn't go to the school district. But leadership here is our new direction. We want to promote this safety or whatever, equal rights or human rights, you know. Who can you put, we like to have a representative from the school district here. You don't need to put it down in the ordinance because that ties your hands. You know, you have a lot of interested community members that be jumping at this, you know, but we can only have so many community members, so many preachers, teachers, all that kind of stuff. You know, and then we have the students, you know.
Make a recommendation, Emerson, that you write back to Marie and to Laura and say, hey, per my previous email, we had a very robust conversation with the current PCEB, and there is a lot of interest to relook at things, repurpose things, and so we're going to support that process moving forward. And the ideas of merging right now are really not something that we're going to consider.
Oh, no, not merging. No, not merging.
Or
Nobody.
whatever the right word is.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, these are some things that's going on that could fall in that category. So I think your words are great, and I'll tell them that. And I suggest you guys look at the ordinance. We can, those are many agenda items. So I would say you look at the ordinance, you know, how it looks, and maybe you want to rewrite it. Actually, if you, we decide what direction, I have a city attorney to rewrite it. You know, because of the ordinance that we have to rescind the old one and submit the new one. But I really believe that it gives you some good direction. So give yourself a chance to, instead of following any of those people before you footsteps that couldn't make it work. And you know, I don't see why it's unfair to you to try to make that work when it didn't work for him. I think you can recreate, you know, if you want to call it PCB or whatever. I think that be our purpose. And I would say, you know, just give yourself a time frame. Maybe by this date, we'll submit something to council, because I had to put it on the agenda. And, you know, because when we meet twice a month, and then council can look at it, and we can have our attorney to write up ordinance, and you can then get that before we approve it and make changes.
So would you still be writing a letter to Marie
Oh, yeah.
and Laura as John?
Yeah, but they knew I was coming. They told me, don't do that. You got more stuff to do. But I'll be at the hospital time for dinner. So just
I mean, even if you could write that letter and maybe send it to Lexi and we could all see it,
sure.
you
Yep.
know, so. I mean, it just involves us, and I think we're kind of getting that sense that maybe things are happening and we weren't really a part of it.
Nope.
You know, whether it was meant or not,
Yeah.
it's,
It's just that when I review, or when I can see where it started, where it is now, and I can't give it much room. You know, we've done stuff, but has it really had an effect on the community? I think, you know, and honestly, you know, myself, I can see a larger budget than that's $1,000, because you can't really do anything with $1,000. Yeah, but I think it's a time to reinvent ourselves. I don't know, Chief. I know we talked about. I don't know if you had any experience where we do your days of in the police department to have something like this.
So you're asking me for my input, and I'll give you just a little bit. I don't know enough to give a lot of input here. Twofold response. Just straight down the middle. I don't have enough experience with this group, enough history, enough contextual understanding of kind of where you guys started, how you evolved, and kind of what you are now, to really have a solid opinion to give. What I do agree with, what I've heard a couple of times is about expanding the scope and opportunity. You know, if you know, your purpose is community engagement, police accountability, providing those lines of communication to establish that the community does have that communication and relationship with the police department. I think the opportunity lies within the fact that you can, under, you know, what we're talking about here, if you guys do expand the scope, that could mean a lot of really good things, including, right, some of the community policing things that we talked about at our last meeting, right? Mm-hmm. And then even furthermore, right, we talk about community policing, we talk about healthy communities, we talk about police accountability, we talk about police community relationships and the communication lines. You know, one of my responses to that is always this question: what have we done in this community to ensure that our police officers and our police department is healthy. Because happy, healthy police officers, and you guys all have masters and PhDs and you understand the research doesn't lie. Happy, healthy police officers better serve the community. So how do we achieve that? And those are some of the things that I think when you talk about opportunities, those are opportunities, if you guys expand the scope of what you're doing, that you guys can lead those initiatives as well, because those are some of the things when you ask me, what have I done in the past? What I've participated in groups like this that have collaborated on all those things. There were different iterations of those groups who called ourselves different things, but same purpose, all fell under the same umbrella. So, I think if you guys do move in a different direction, and I think that those things will naturally fall under the umbrella of what you guys are doing. So, that's what I think.
I agree. I mean, we had a member who was here a very short time, but he was a psychologist and he conducted psychological evaluations of incoming officers, and he was an expert in that field. And I think he felt that it just wasn't a lot for him to do. I think Paul Dietrich.
Oh, yeah.
Paul Dietrich.
Well, how about
And I felt that he would have been a great contributor,
Yeah.
but it was, as we were.
I pulled him in because he volunteers at Bucks Rock Hill Ministry.
Yeah.
And so he was glad to do it, but then
Yeah.
once he got here for a few meetings, that's when he never said, this is not what I do, so.
Let me add one more thing to
Yes.
one more point to the information I was sharing with the group here. Trauma. We know trauma that's untreated is bad. It's bad for kids. It's bad for us. It's bad for professionals. It's bad for police officers. Police officers experience more trauma in their careers than probably most other professions. And historically, we've overlooked that as a profession, as communities, that untreated trauma, it manifests in different ways. And sometimes it comes out in really bad ways. And that's what I mean when I talk about that could be an initiative that comes out of this new iteration of whatever this turns into be, but or whatever this turns into. But that's what I mean about healthy police officers and healthy police departments. So wanted to share that, and I'm not sure if I gave you guys anything there. Like I said, I don't know enough, and I don't want to be presumptuous. I'm still trying to figure out my role here, where we nest into all this.
And I think we are trying to do the same too, and we want to be, effective in, assisting the police department and establishing that relationship with the community. There were a number of topics that we touched on last meeting that I thought were, really helpful.
Yeah.
So,
So my next step is I'm gonna send the email to Mayor Arnold and to Dr. Peoples saying that we're gonna look at at the ordinance and kind of see if we can reinvent ourselves and do that. And we'll go from there. I'll have Katie send you the Word document instead of a PDF. So if you want to make changes, you can modify that out. Or either I can convert the PDF to a Word document if not. So that we start looking at it, we can do it. So
I think we're all enthusiastic about the potential
yes.
of what the PCEB would like to see it be, and the ability to really support our community. So.
And I'll find that letter I was supposed to give you when your budget was approved. But even in the body of that letter, comments were put in from the council to the committee saying, and one of the things is that what is this commission is doing? We haven't seen anything come out of this commission for the last couple of years. Really, never really. So just kind of want to change that. I think this group can be great. If
And as you're talking, if the perception, and perception's right, wrong, or whatever, but if the perception is that we're not producing or changing or addressing or, you know, getting our hands dirty in certain areas, that's fine by me. Then let's do something about that. But at first, and if I can just kind of summarize, I was hearing from you safety and health, safety.
Mhm.
And I kept saying, there's gotta be more than, everything doesn't fall under safety. A lot maybe does. But then Chief mentioned trauma. I'm going, oh yeah, there's one. I mean, we could throw it under safety, but not really, because trauma, that's a huge area. You know, and so I like that. You know, if we talk about safety, talk about health, talk about trauma, there's many other things that I think if we start digging, breaking apart and rewriting the ordinances such that, or our ordinance, such that we can gather some of these things, then we can start picking them apart and really doing something with them. So maybe even the listening sessions, even though I think they can be effective, but they were still up here. You know, and we need to be like down here where we're touching
Yeah.
people's lives.
That's a
It
great
would be
point.
helpful to know also what the council has in mind for the Human Rights Commission, because I do think that
Council has
those
not,
two are very
this has
related.
not even reached the council's ears.
Then perhaps it's something that more city staff are discussing, but I think,
Not city staff, just
City-
6 or 7 community members.
okay, I just.
I just happen to be
think-
privy
I
to it
think
because I was
more,
part of that conversation.
connection between these groups would really benefit all of them, to make sure that we all understand.
Let's do it
You know,
this
what
way,
our
you know,
purpose
listening
is.
to John, what's your name?
So,
No, John Buckton,
John
Sorry.
Sorry.
Two Johns.
Yes, two
If I listen to the Johns, you make a decision of what you like it to be. And I never believed in the council telling you what they want to see. Otherwise, they might as well do it themselves. I think it's good for you to say, here, this is how we see this group working.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know how far along it was. When you were saying it might happen as soon as September, that indicated to me that something was
Yeah,
pretty
there's
baked,
something.
because
Oh, no.
it's July.
It was
July.
in May, no, was it May? Yeah, May. A student of Webster Groves made a presentation, not to the council, just to 6 or 7 of us, 8 of us.
Mhm.
And don't wait until something happens in Webster Groves to try to start a human rights commission. Then we're going to be reactive versus proactive.
Which does sound very similar to the original, impetus for the PCEB.
And it to me, and I was there I applied for the PCEB and I was denied. Only because they wanted me to wait to get onto the.
They have some lines on it.
But I'm just saying, your hands were tied, they're so tight, you couldn't get nothing done. It just was just. I don't know if you watched the YouTube when we talked about the change of the PCB, it got ugly. Because there were some members on the council that didn't want it to change, but it did change. So, and I wanted to change it even more. I want to get rid of all those, naming all these different individuals. You want people that's interested. We do have one application.
We do,
Yeah.
yes.
saw
I was
too.
gonna announce that. It came, I learned of it after I put together
And
the
with the
agenda,
council's
so.
direction on commissions and boards. So what you're supposed to do is to read it. And what I'm supposed to do is read it, because when it comes that person to what is the PCB's recommendation? Should we advance this person to the
Mhm.
PCB board? Because there, believe it or not, we've had 3 people that apply for different boards that we didn't approve.
Yeah.
We just, in order to make it's the city's infrastructure, and we want to make it as strong as possible. But we want people that don't have any hidden agendas to come on. And there was a couple of people we didn't put back on because of hidden agendas. So,
All right, well, let's come back to this. I think we have a lot to talk about. Chief, I would like to talk to you further and, have you learn a little bit more about, what have been some priorities for us, or at least areas where we've thought, well, we could advance here, we could do something. And so I think we'll have some more conversations. Let's get back to the agenda then. And,
but thank you.
sure,
You have to go.
thank you.
No, not yet.
Okay. I'm gonna try and get through this, because we like to usually leave by 8 o'clock. We have the June minutes. Did you all get that email and were you able to read it?
Yes.
I had a couple things that we discussed and I wondered if we could get mention of them in. We talked about the safety preparation for community days. So this was in addition to the drone presentation, which was covered well in the minutes. But the safety preparation for community days, and also that the traffic light cameras that are identifying stolen vehicles coming into or leaving the community and how that has been effective in apprehending suspects related to vehicle thefts, because we know that that has been hot button with the community.
Yeah.
And a lot of activity in that area. So I was glad to hear that that's something effective. And I think you mentioned there's a specific officer that had,
It's the drone magazine.
monitoring that. No, maybe I'm confusing it. I know that there's someone that's really with the drone, but
Yeah.
there had been an incident where some suspects were apprehended.
Yeah, and that's an
Yeah.
ongoing thing. There was a number of our officers downstairs
Yes.
who kind of specialize in receiving that intelligence
Mhm.
real time. And just for an update, and you guys are going to see this in a press release. You may have seen this story in the newspaper, the Kirkwood Times. Last week, we had an incident. Where was the incident with the green scooter?
Back outside of Cyrano's.
Yeah, so our staff worked diligently over the last almost 2 weeks on that case. And through the use of the flock technology, the flock camera system technology, we were able to identify a suspect, work with some neighboring jurisdictions. We have arrested an individual in conjunction with that crime and charged him, and that process is being finalized as we speak right now. So that's set for press release either tonight or tomorrow morning. So,
That's
but
awesome.
that technology helps. So,
Congratulations.
yeah,
Yeah,
our men and women downstairs did a great job on it. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I knew someone that was involved and heard about it before I saw it in
Yeah.
the
frightening incident.
email. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah, that's great.
So, yeah, I just wanted to mention,
Okay.
and I think Chief, you also talked a little bit about the value of community policing and understanding how, the drones and those are all tools in being able to
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
keep the
we,
community safe.
we talked about that last time, the value that how that's a force multiplier and community policing and looking at all the things that, we've talked about today in terms of trauma, the impact of trauma, not just on people in the community, but on police officers and how important it is to keep happy, healthy police officers. I think something else that, I've participated in is, social vulnerability index ratings, right? If you look probably at Webster Groves as a whole, you wouldn't see a high social vulnerability index rating, but I think if you broke it down into different neighborhoods, different communities within Webster Groves, there'd be a disparity. And I think that would help us kind of focus the efforts a little bit. So, yeah.
So I know we mentioned a couple things to add. Can we go ahead and approve those minutes with some mentions of those other topics? Would that be okay?
I feel like that should be taken.
Okay.
Okay.
What if I email, everyone can say, yep, this was the topic, and then we can get back to you to add into the minutes, or? I'm not saying we can approve it today, but at least to
So
add
you can add it and send it back out, but then it has to be approved at the next.
at the next meeting,
Right, so we
okay,
need
yeah,
to table that.
okay,
Actually, our charter wouldn't permit that.
okay,
Basically.
We got shot down ourselves by the attorney,
It helps.
trying to get over the email.
okay.
Direct.
Very good.
And narrow the focus. Yeah, it's really good.
Mhm. All right then. Community feedback from the online forum. The only question we've received, an individual was interested in learning if someone they graduated high school with, if there were pictures of him when he was on the police force, and if it was going back very long time. And they wanted to know, are there still photographs? So I passed that on to Katie, and because I have no way of knowing.
Katie passed it on to me and I replied to her and they
Yes, and I
confirmed that
saw.
we do not.
Yep, so thank you for that, and then the next, we've kind of started this conversation and gone into it in some depth, but depth is talking about the role and purpose of PCEB. And I kind of feel like, let's come back to this some more later and at our next meeting. One of the,
Table that until something is,
yeah, I know Emerson is gonna write that letter. One of the things that I wondered is, I think this conversation, if we wait another month, I think that that's waiting too long. And so, I don't know if this is something that we can get together on a Zoom, if we're talking about, what are our aspirations? Can this be a small group? We do have that issue of we want to be compliant with the sunshine laws. But sometimes it's hard to get everybody in the room or to get the room with the Zoom so that the public can be involved. So how do we do that? And would people be available in August sooner than the end of the month so that we can?
Are you talking
Dive
about
into it.
just us or?
Well, I don't know what are options for that. If we're not actually talking about these kind of topics, but sort of envisioning what do we want to be? What do we think is valuable? What do we aspire to? Is that something that has to be by definition a public meeting?
Emerson, do you possibly agree that maybe we should have a conversation with, or you should, in the police department and whatever, with Maria and Laura, kind of see how that would work? Or even Neil, honestly, like if they're discussing putting together a new board, not business of the current board, but since they all are the current board, how that would
Yeah,
work. I think there's-
Call a meeting and it's open to visitors. If they want to come, that's fine.
I
One
would
thing
think
that-
it'd be challenging to get this room and to have it be public and have the Zoom. So I want to be respectful of, the staff's time to do this. And I just didn't want us to wait 4 weeks because I think it's an important topic.
If this room is available, you can get anytime you want. Or you can see if there's one of the meeting rooms at the rec center. We can see if it's available.
Who could I reach out and find out that information?
The rec center?
Just in general, where would be a space?
Oh,
I know we've looked at this room and this room does get pretty busy. You have a lot of commissions.
yeah,
that
you
meet
can
in.
call Scott Davis. He'll be able to tell you. Or you can just go to they can tell you what days it's available. One,
The issue is having access to the Zoom.
It doesn't have to be on Zoom, it just has to be publicly presented, like,
Okay,
it has to be open to the public.
yeah.
And you guys have to take minutes, if you're doing like a work session or whatever, you have to take your own notes on that, do all of that. Those have to be then at their next meeting approved and submitted to the city. But you don't, it does not have to be on Zoom, it just has to be public and it has to, a notice has to be put out, you know, and with 24, 48 hours, whatever it is, it needs to be put out.
Because this room is available, chief, it's a room downstairs. Where the PCEB used to meet. I don't know if everybody was here.
You're talking about just outside my office?
Yeah,
The Osage room. Osage room.
Osage room, yeah,
Yeah.
that's, it has a
Like,
table
I
about
can
this
let you
size.
know when that room's available, if you guys throw some dates,
Okay,
I can let you know about that. Any of the ones in this building, I can let you know, but the ones over at the rec center, that's, yeah, Scott or
Scott.
somebody.
You'll be,
Okay.
or either like I said, the front desk can tell you what's available.
Okay.
And then. since it's-
Lexi, depending on the date, I could host at Webster on campus if you want. There's plenty of parking and easy access, so that could be a backup for you.
There you go.
okay,
And I'll mention one thing that we did, this is my second term, during my first term, is we realized that we couldn't get everything done meeting twice a month. That's why things were just dragging in the city because you meet, an hour for the work session, then you try to meet an hour for the council meeting, and we didn't pick it back up until the next meeting. So we made the decision that, for example, when, whatever. Yeah, we were thinking of the, new goals and objectives for the city council, for the city and all that stuff. It was just 3 or 4 of us that met as a group to meet. So meeting outside the normal meeting time, I support that. I'm not saying separated, but if you have to meet, have maybe a 3-4 hour session on a Saturday, you get things done. I support that kind of stuff, because otherwise you'll be dragging out, trying to meet once a month, then the next month. and
Right, yeah.
Thanksgiving and Christmas, you might as well hang it up, you know, and stuff like that. So you don't have to be tie yourself down to one meeting. So, and Lexi, I sent you a copy. Pamphlet, it's about 40 pages. It says reimagining public safety, a toolkit for cities and towns. It's from the National League of Cities.
okay,
And you know, in the table of contents, it has redefine public safety, engage, restructure, balance, deploy appropriate responses, embrace accountability, seek guidance and support. And the appendix was city police action on oversight, accountability. So, and then, you know, you look into the, you can send it to everybody.
yeah, I absolutely. will.
And then, you know, they have things. Let's see that. Yeah, some of the things that don't pertain, we can't do, but there's a lot of other good information in there that maybe you can steal and apply if something that you do. But it's a good read. It got me asking questions and all that stuff. And I just do want to make one more mention before I leave. Matters. I have the resource probably for a year. It's called Lexicool, I believe. Yeah, Lexicool. It's a website that has information on grants. Thousands and thousands and thousands of grants that this group can apply for to get special things done. You know, that we have the ability to. So we have that at our fingertips. Once we decide we want to do something, you know, we can see if there's a grant out there. Even if it's no more than $1,500, it's a grant. You know, just do what we can. So, yeah, but you know, send that toolkit out. You'll good reading.
Thanks. All right, I noticed on our website, that there are some typos. We also have some numbers that have left that we need to remove. And we have that drone document that was shared with us last week. And so I thought that would be useful. Is it already on the police department website? And is that something that we can share? So we've got on our page some FAQs.
Yeah.
And I know after the news story in the Webster Kirkwood Times, I had heard questions from other people, you know, saying, well, what are the policies and what are we doing and how long have we been doing this? And so I thought if we could post that, it might be useful. We still need to pull people to that page to be able to realize that the information is there, but
Can I get back to you on that?
absolutely.
Thank you.
I know I hijacked your meeting, but something like the drones, the drones came from police department to city council. And we approved it.
Mhm.
See, I see something like that, not, well, he wasn't here, she wasn't here then, chief, got his name already? Curtis Dale, you know, I can see him bringing, hey, here's something we want to bring to the community that we're using, going to start using drones. You know, and this is what they're gonna do, and this is how, and it's gonna be on the agenda for our city council. And so I can see this group, PCEB, saying, hey, we are in favor of this, and this. So it was introduced to you before it was introduced to the council. I see that happen. Things of that nature. Should have, not saying it could, we could have, if you said we don't want it and the council wanted it anyway, we could have approved it. But I think that type of information will flow through the PCEB, all of the surrounding public safety, the police department and all that good stuff.
Right, I know interim Chief Perks brought to us an issue about an ordinance for minors and related to firearms.
And we're looking at that now.
And so, yeah, no, and I appreciate that. I think that is a valuable.
Yeah, so did you
we can
get a
decide.
copy of that ordinance?
No, I
It
think-
was,
We got examples from other places that it's
Right.
similar.
so it hadn't been written yet.
Chief, you've seen it, I'm sure.
No, I haven't.
Okay, see, that's on our docket to approve.
We haven't
The attorney is making some changes. See, I got to talk to Neil tomorrow anyway. I'm gonna ask him to send me the copy. And I said to you, those are the things you should see before it goes to council. Saying that, hey, and you saw, one of you guys can stand up and say, we've read this, we agree with, and we support it.
Mhm.
I'd agree. I think that the onus more on like chief aspect is to like bring that stuff to us. So,
Yes.
we don't know what we don't know.
But it bypassed chief, it bypassed the police department.
My police department doesn't create the ordinances. They enforce the ordinances. They're two separate, yeah.
But you
Very
have
separate things.
knowledge of it, you know what's going on, you know what's gonna affect the community, you know, and these two ordinances, two of them is about minors and firearms. And then the second one is that, it'll, about minors and they can't buy firearms for minors. I can't buy that, read them in a couple of weeks. But those are the type of things that should come before this group, not to say, yeah, we want this approved, it's just that you're aware of it, you know it. And if you want to speak on it, you know, say, we approve this, da.
All right, so I was just gonna suggest that we proceed with making some factual corrections and correct the typos on the website. And I realized that I did not know, since Jen Starkey left quite some time ago, who the person is that we contact to get updates made to that webpage, Emerson.
Honestly, I don't know the young lady's name,
Her name is Tiara.
Tiara.
I'm going to blank on her last name. Did you remember it? I'm sorry.
Oh, my
I don't remember
goodness.
the name.
Oh, my
I
goodness.
can get your name. It's not a problem.
Okay, thank
Next,
you.
what I will find out though is what process you should go through. It might be that you give it to Katie and Katie will make sure it gets done.
I'd be happy to do that. I know at one point, just because I knew Jen and
Yeah.
we
both
both
Jen.
did, so we just went to her, but
Yeah.
we want to do whatever is, you know, a good flow for the staff here.
You and
We
10
don't need
other
to jump
commissioners
over
are doing the
you.
same thing, you know,
Right,
and it became a problem.
that's fine.
Tara Thomas.
Sierra Thomas, thank you.
I saw her like 3 times. I said, you work here or something, you know? I thought she was just a student, you know, they come sometime and watch our city council meetings. I didn't know she's actually worked here.
Then the last thing I have is everyone here, since it requires all of us to be here to have a quorum, and we'll want to vote on approval of the minutes from June, June, as well as from this month. Will we all be here for August 27th? Is that gonna work? I would like to poll everyone to see if there's an earlier time that we could meet. So
No,
What do we
not
hear?
me.
you're gonna do that trip that you're planning.
25-year wedding anniversary on the 28th, so
Okay.
we're out of here.
Wonderful. Good for you.
When are you leaving,
So,
Barb?
27th
Okay,
and.
August, July, I mean, August.
29th.
yeah,
So we'll have the city cancel the 27th meeting and then whatever you guys come up with. That
Sorry.
works.
no,
We do
no,
nine.
my
No, I also.
goodness.
Congratulations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not just you. Yeah, congrats.
All right. Okay, yeah, so if you would cancel the 27th, I'll shoot an email around and we'll find some dates and I think John had to jump off. But if we can't find a room here at City Hall, I might hit up John. There's plenty of parking there at Webster U. It's close. And as long as it's room for the public that can come sit there, that should be fine. Is that gonna be convenient for you to go there?
Change of pace.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me too. I haven't been on that campus and so, all right, good.
So like I said, between now and then, if this is gonna be your, talking about this as your next agenda, I'm more than happy to help you build the agenda. Is how long you want it, just a regular meeting or if it's something, so. That's, yeah, 27, that's good, because we had in Myrtle Beach on the 28th, so.
Okay.
I think, you know, how my wife is feeling.
Right.
First words out of her mouth after she was able to talk to me. It's like a fun.
Oh, no, wait, we're not doing 27.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
I'm just,
I thought it was like,
next
oh,
day.
really?
We'll let you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll loop you
So I
in
think
on that.
between now and the next time we have a meeting in September, I guess, we'll have plenty of time to, create an agenda. And if everybody can take time to thumb through that, pamphlet that, Lex is gonna send you. Everything in there we can't do, that's for sure. Some of those are really progressive cities, but, there's a lot of things in there that you'll see that, would be beneficial. And to talk about police and fire. As far as community engagement, not just police.
Okay. Right, so we made it through our agenda. It's not quite 8 o'clock. Chief, is there anything that you would like to share with the group before we adjourn?
No, I just finished up my 4th week. It's been great. I'm excited. I feel great. We have some great men and women downstairs. Erin's been keeping me on track. She's wonderful. And I know I shared some information with you guys earlier, talked about SVI. Another term that I'd like to share with you guys is ACEs, talk about trauma. ACEs are adverse childhood experiences.
Yes.
ACEs and looking at those numbers helped us in a community project. We were awarded a grant from the Robert Wood Foundation. It was a very competitive grant. It was a competitive process, but working and focusing on trauma in the communities, specifically around children, really put us in a position to be awarded that grant. So I think there's opportunity here, and I think that you guys will figure out what that is. But what I want to say is that however the police department can partner, with you guys to achieve whatever the objectives are, we're going to do that. We're going to be great partners. Okay, just want to let you guys know that.
So you guys know about KCV?
I don't.
They're expanding, their plans to expand.
So that's something else that, not necessarily come by you, but it was a presentation of what's going on. KCV in conjunction with St. Louis Children's Hospital is putting a, mental hospital,
Inpatient.
inpatient care
Yeah.
for kids.
Yeah,
You know, in Children's Hospital, I think they told me that they have 7 or 9 beds in St. Louis. Kids that have some type of mental problem. 9, just 9. But KCV, they're gonna have over 70 beds over here. They're gonna expand it. The Children's Hospital is going to staff it. And it's gonna happen in Webster.
That's incredible. There is such a shortage of care.
Some
Yeah.
people, I know 2 people in our community, families, when their son, they have 2 sons, 1 son and another family, daughter, another, they have to travel almost 3 hours west to get a bed for their kid, if they're having some type of episode. 3 hours.
Well, and I know the wait list to get psychiatrists, child psychiatrists can be 3 to 6 months.
And if you want that group to come and give you a presentation, I had it at the Northwest Neighborhood Coalition, Northwestern Neighborhood Coalition, and
Mhm.
who else did I have it with? And I've seen the plans, I know what they're gonna do and all that stuff, so it's
Yeah.
really, it's out on the website.
I know one of the really impactful sessions for me was when Katie brought in the group called the Purple Shirts. Behavioral health response that
Mhm.
has an agreement with the city of St. Louis, for doing their, mental health, calls. It's like a diversion through the 911. They do an assessment and, can send then social workers, to those particular calls.
It's
So-
an active program?
Pardon?
It's an active
It is an
program?
active program.
That's
They
really
have
neat.
an agreement with, I have the information about that. Do we even have that on our website?
I probably, it's
Thought we
only
did.
in St. Louis City though, so.
It's
they
only,
couldn't-
it's
they
not, they don't
couldn't-
have an
Like,
agreement.
we
with
wouldn't
the
put
county.
it on our, to put it on our website and
Oh,
then have people.
Right,
make
no,
the
it's more
assumption that
something,
That is something
Here,
that
that's
we
a
offer
really-
here might be a little,
that's a good point. We don't want to confuse
yeah, it's
people.
not St. Louis County or any municipality,
Yeah,
it's the St. Louis City's program that they had its whole separate funding for, so.
As long as we have, like, we don't have a shared city space where our group can share documents. I know one of the concerns about the city attorney was that documents be dated. So this is more of a resource that we'd share. Can we take that Google Drive that I created for the PCEB, everybody that I send your emails to, your contacts through that. If we just give access to documents that have been presented in a meeting, so,
Those are all in the
We can
minutes
do
of the
that.
meeting,
pardon?
those are in the minutes of the meeting though.
Oh,
So they
yeah.
are available.
So they are, we would just kind of have to dig through all those past, we have new members, I want to make sure that you get it. I can send you a link to it, though, or just, I'll attach it. I think that would be helpful for you to see.
I think I understand what you're saying, though. You have all these meeting minutes. And it's like, oh, which one did we do that? Oh,
yeah.
it's this one. We gotta open, oh, wasn't that one? Oh, so you're looking for one space for all those documents.
Yeah,
just
so
to be-
for my own use, so I can keep track, I've got one folder with all of our minutes. I've got another folder with all of our agendas. I've got another folder with resources that we've shared.
Yeah, good.
And,
For presentations.
so it's,
and-
why have everybody go through that same process? I'm happy to share it with everyone.
Yeah.
And, others could do the same. I wasn't at a meeting, someone might say, oh, here's what we talked about. So, okay. Very good.
So that's, it's like, I'm gonna send you my memo before I
Okay.
send it to,
Yes.
the mayor and Dr. Peoples, so if there's something on there you want to.
Send it to all of
Besides-
us. I'd like to see it before it goes up
Sure.
the chain.
Yeah, so that you say, here's our direction, this is what we're gonna be doing.
That sounds good. Thank you, members.
Yep.
All right, well, are we ready to adjourn? Do I have anyone?
I move to adjourn.
A second.
All right, let's adjourn the meeting.
We're out of
then.
here.
Thank you all for being here tonight.
Good time, everybody.
Thank you, guys. I know it was a little shock, but
I hope
you're
you're,
gonna yield good things, believe me.
good luck to your wife.
Yes.
Yeah,
She gets better.
Well, yeah, from Saturday night to now, she's got me using from that.
Hey, Lexi.
Form and that leg back.
Do people still use SharePoint?
Well, I-
That's like, is that like
God bless you.
is that like a dinosaur now?
It's